Once there was a boy who loved ice cream. He would spend his days roaming and combing the city, hoping to find new flavours to try. He carried with him a little blue notebook in which he would write a description of each variety he discovered. Within 2 years he had already made 523 entries, not including sorbets, and he was very proud of this fact. Although his knowledge of ice cream was encyclopedic and his palate refined, he wasn't much of a writer and found it hard to translate taste buds to words. The more he wrote about ice cream, the more difficult it was to avoid using the same phrases and words over and over again. In fact, over the course of the notebook he had used the word scrumptious a total of 489 times, 5 of which were used to describe one particularly tasty banana and peanut butter gelato, the entry for which simply read, "Scrumptious, scrumptious, 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 scrumptious." But the boy didn't mind that his writing was vague and uninformative, for he had no intention of sharing his work. He simply loved ice cream, and this made him happy. One wet Wednesday, as the boy waddled his merry way through the parallel rows of mechanical grey, his head full of kittens and his heart all snug, he came to a big red door and stopped. This was new. A big red door. He glanced around for a sign or name, but the door would not reveal its secrets. Painted in intricate gold leaf just above the handle was a spider's web with a single thread that dangled down exhausted. Before the boy could use his head, he heard a voice behind him. "Get a fucking move on, you numpty!" It was an urban fox with a Mockney accent and brill cream fur and spiky flames. It brushed abruptly past the boy and opened the door with its 2 front paws. Taken aback, the boy stepped forward and followed the fox inside. The hallway smelt of plug-in Glade and air-conditioned metal. There were no doors or windows, only stairs that rose before him. The boy was apprehensive, but declined to stop and think. He had always been a foolish boy who followed flights of fancy and let his trainers lead him into danger's deadly grasp in the hope of finding ice cream that had never passed his lips. As he climbed the staircase, bounding 2 steps at a time, he heard the sounds of voices and computers making bleeps. When he reached the final step, he stared in disbelief at an endless row of slot machines that stretched into a squint. The boy approached the first machine. Its sign read, "Patois pills, £5. Impress your friends with authentic Jamaican slang. Sounds just like the real ting. Lasts up to 30 days. Side effects include involuntary tooth kissing. Bumperclots not included." Despite being keen, the boy resolved not to purchase the pills. He was to visit his gran on Sunday, and she still hadn't forgiven him for the time he said "safe" to her cat. The second machine said, "Monobrow glasses, £3. These spectacular specs make everybody appear as though they have a monobrow." The boy smiled to himself. "I wonder what Judi Dench would look like," he thought. The third machine said, "Mumcussogram, £7. Are you getting bullied at school? Do you know a dickhead who needs to get shame up? For just £7, one of our veteran mumcuss specialists will come and rinse out a person of your choice. Order today and receive a free copy of Top 100 Mumcusses of All Time, including such classics as Your Mum's House So Dirty, Her Hoover's Got Asthma, and Your Mum's Pussy's So Hairy, You Were Born With Carpet Burns. Hurry while stocks last." The boy smirked and sauntered on jauntily, safe in the knowledge that if any man even tried chat about his mum, they getting gunned down hard, believe. The next few machines were of little interest. Guinea pig shoes, goth cream, Fat Man Scoop's Guide to Sussex. This place had everything. He gawped at the endless line of remaining machines. Surely at least one of these must sell ice cream. Breaking into a brisk trundle, he carried along the corridor, scanning for signs of ice cream with his greedy, beady eyes. A blur of bleeping boxes passed his dairy-centric gaze, until he stopped abruptly, his trainers squeaking in surprise. It was a huge machine, twice the size of the others he had seen. Its left arm was a lever, and its face a flashing screen. In 4 big red bold letters it said, "Love, £6. Love. The boy had heard of that. His friend Humphrey had once told him about it. The conversation had been particularly memorable because he had said to the boy in no uncertain terms that love was, without a shadow of a doubt, better than ice cream. Now, normally the boy would have dismissed this kind of talk as ludicrous, but he held his friend's opinions in extremely high regard. Humphrey's passion for ice cream could not be questioned, and his flavour knowledge was second to none. In fact, over the years he had acted as a mentor of sorts, introducing the boy to more obscure taste combinations and recommending producers of exquisite delicacies. He'd given the boy history lessons on the origins of ice cream, explaining how Marco Polo had adapted the Chinese method of freezing milk. Now, if Humphrey thought so much of love, then surely there must be something in it. He remembered the wise bird's words. "It's when someone is so lovely that your head goes all fuzzy and you can't do crosswords. When you're in love, all the cheesy songs on the radio start to make sense." The boy was already quite fuzzy-headed, and he wasn't sure he wanted to know what all those cheesy songs were about. Fuck it, he thought. Worth a try. Jamming his hand in his green dungarees, he pulled his pocket money out from its home. Clunk, clunk, clunk went the £2 coins. Something inside clicked and started to hum. With the sound of a sheep, it printed a sheet, which hung from the slot like a hot dog's tongue. Carefully tearing the perforated line, he began to examine the page. In the top left corner was a picture of a lady, all smiling and shiny. Below it read, "I like going out. I like staying in. I like films. I like food." The boy frowned, then raised a single eyebrow. The machine bleeped. "Yes or no?" asked the screen insistently. The boy pressed no, and immediately another page began to print. This time the lady had huge white teeth. "I like going out and eating food. I like staying in and watching films." The boy sighed and pressed no. Another page printed. "I like going out and watching films, but I also like staying in and eating food." "No, I like going out and watching food, but I also like staying in and eating films." "No, wait, that doesn't even make sense." His cheeks puffed out like a praying blowfish. They all said the same bloody thing. These weren't the sorts of ladies he wanted to meet. They didn't even sound like real people. He looked at the pictures again. The vacant vacuum eyes, the facsimile smiles fractured at the edges. They weren't real at all. This was some kind of trick. The computer was making up fake robot girls. Some smelly scientist must have written some sort of algorithm for pretend ladies. It was all a clever scam. The boy was furious. What a rip-off. Think of the ice cream he could have got for £6. A tub of Ben & Jerry's, a Magnum and a Feast. And that's just talking mainstream. He swelled with sweltering rage. "Stupid fucking machine!" Clanging impotent kicks on the metallic casing and slamming his hands on the keyboard, the boy growled with wild frustration. With an obedient bleat, another sheet jolted out of the slot. In black and white, it had a picture of a girl with disarmingly striking eyes. It said, "I hate robots. I hate robots, but I like lovely, lovely old things." He liked the sound of this. Cautiously, he extended his index finger and pressed yes. "Write your message," prompted the machine. The boy paused and pondered, and then began to type. "Oi, you seem nice. I like lovely old things too. And ice cream. Kiss." He pressed send and waited. As he reflected on his choice of message, his thoughts began to itch. What a silly thing to write. You can't start a message with "Oi." What a silly, silly boy you are. No girl with twinkly eyes would want to talk to a stupid boy who says "Oi" instead of "hello." She would want to talk to someone who... The printer started again. It was a reply. It said, "Oh, you seem nice too. Kiss." And so it was that the boy who loved ice cream and the girl with twinkly eyes entered into correspondence. With the arrival of each new message, the boy's eyes would increase a few millimetres in diameter as he relished the girl's every word. They were very good words, and she put them all in just the right order. He would savour them slowly like a salted caramel sundae. He liked the girl and decided he would take her some flowers. He asked for her address, but she used sad words to explain that she was trapped in a land far, far away, past treacherous mountains and perilous woods. She said she was locked in a tiny room at a school for extra clever people and couldn't escape. She told him that her teachers were big meanies who would squash her with books and make her read clever things all day so her brain got even smarter. This made the boy sad. A girl with twinkly eyes shouldn't be shut in a room being forced to read. She should be giggling at cats and skipping in sunny meadows and sipping strawberry milkshakes. His freckly face crumpled at the injustice. It just wasn't right. The boy headed home with haste in his socks and found his North Face rucksack. Inside it he placed a torch, a map, his lucky red hat, and a copy of all the girls' messages. He looked in the mirror and took a deep breath. He would need to be brave. He was going on an adventure.